Why? Worcester. And welcome to another edition of Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd. The Unity in the Community show embraces city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And this is a really special edition of Unity in the because of the fact we have a situation where we'll come right back, and then we're going to come back and join you again right after this. Today with us, we have a special show coming your way. And welcome to Unity. So what we're going to do is have this special show, and during the special show, we're going to do a lot of good special things. So I'm going to start all over again. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd. The Unity in the Community show embraces city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a special show coming your way where we have these special guests that do some special things right here in the city. And they're special. Joining us is Rachel Lexington, and she's the founder and creator, as well as Joelle Ward, and she's the birth center developer. And together, they are known as the Worcester Community Midwifery.
Yes.
There you go. All right. And people say, what is the midwifery? We're going to talk about that right now, what that's all about. So welcome, ladies. Welcome to Unity in the Community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So what we're going to do basically is let's have this discussion about this midwifery and how special it is. And let's talk about the beginning of it as far as how it all started. And we're going to start with you, Rachel.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah.
So I'm Rachel Blessington. I'm a midwife here in Central Massachusetts. How did it start? It started because I was a pre-med person who wanted to work with families, and I realized that the MD role wasn't going to fill what I wanted for practice style relationships. So I took a seminar course on midwifery, and that is a midwife is somebody who helps care for growing families. So we tend to think of them as experts in pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, but they also help take care of babies, work with lactation, and other sexual and reproductive health stuff. So it's very relationship-based care, and I thought, oh, that is a fit. That's a fit for me. So I, for the past 13 years, have been working with birthing families in Central Massachusetts in different roles, including becoming a midwife and building the practice that we have now.
Yeah. And Joelle, you play a role into this as well.
Yes.
And share with us what that role is.
So I started working with Rachel about 3 years ago as a birth assist, a registered nurse who works with a midwife. A birth assist doesn't have to be a registered nurse, but me having already have that background and working as a labor and delivery nurse, it was a pretty smooth transition. And once I started working as a birth assist, I started to realize that a childbirth education was something that's a passion of mine as well, with having the opportunity to talk with our families that are in our practice and do a lot of preparation for their birth experience and their postpartum. And I was already doing lactation for, goodness, almost 14 years after the birth of my first son. So with those three things, I was able to kind of create the role that I have with Worcester Community Midwifery. And when things with the birth center began, working as a birth center developer just rolled right in with the other hats that I wear within this organization.
So you guys were at two different facilities, is that right? Two separate operations?
Right. So I had my private practice.
Okay.
And when I met Joelle, she was working as a nurse, but also had been trained as a doula. And
Yes.
a mutual friend introduced us. And we ended up being a great fit to practice together.
Okay. So you guys crossed paths at your facility. Is that correct? Or you guys were working two separate entities?
We were working separately. And then a
Separately.
mutual friend said, hey, I know you.
That's where
You.
I'm
You
trying
guys
to
would
go.
fit well
Right.
together.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That
And
makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. So then after that, Rachel, you said, okay, I really feel as though that I could contribute to something and create this special entity. And why is your practice different than the average practice when it comes to midwifery?
Oh, sure. Well, midwives can work in a hospital setting, but they can also work in a home setting or in a birth center setting. And in Massachusetts, most of our midwives work in hospital settings alongside physicians and kind of are practicing in that model. And then we have some home birth midwifery practices that might see a few births a month and take care of people very closely. But we don't have many birth center facilities, which is kind of like a community health center where people can access midwifery care. So trying to create that model for central Massachusetts so more people can access midwifery care, and also so that we can train more people in the kind of work that we do.
Okay. So midwifery is taking place right now. It is a practice,
Mhm.
but it's under a facility of a medical facility here in Massachusetts and across the country, right?
It doesn't have to be.
As far as the occupation goes, how's that? As far as the occupation, what you just mentioned, Rachel, is the fact that the practice of a midwife, will say, is assisting a mother to be at a facility, per se.
It can be.
under a
So
practice.
midwives are currently working either in private practices and can be seeing people in their homes or offices and attending births that are planned to be at home. Or they can be in an independent birth center facility, so a place that's really like a midwifery centric model, or they can be working in a typical hospital model alongside other physician providers.
Okay. So this is where you guys come in. When it comes to the Worcester Community Midwifery, you guys want to have, you two would like to have a facility centered right here in the city of Worcester.
Correct.
Yes.
And what's the nearest one besides the city of Worcester?
The only current independent birth center that is in the state is out in the Northampton area in Western Mass.
That's interesting. And why hasn't this been something of a popular entity or someone pushing this initiative in the past to say, why doesn't Worcester have one?
It's been a very desired model by consumers and a very evidence-based model showing great outcomes for parents and babies, but several legislative hurdles and regulatory hurdles were in the way that needed to be advocated for change. So part of the work that we've done and that we're grateful for are the people who've worked over the past 10 plus years to change the regulations so that it's more accessible and sustainable for midwives to start these centers. So now that we've had some big changes in the laws from a big omnibus that was passed in 2024, now it's easier and better supported for people to open these centers.
Now, when you go back into the past and you deal with analytics or statistics in reference to this particular practice, where was it back then as far as where it started, and where are the numbers for this particular practice for today?
So do you mean what have birth centers been like in Massachusetts over the years?
I would say what it's been like, but as far as the practice it goes, you just mentioned earlier, it was at the hospitals or you can have this practice in someone's home
Mhm.
and you're working with those particular individuals. How popular was it back then? Is it more popular now than it has been as far as this practice goes?
I think there's always been a market, a demand, a need for midwifery style care. But it has waxed and waned in availability depending on Some hospitals have had alongside birth centers that have closed over the years. Some small community hospitals have had birthing units that included midwives, but those have closed over the years. So the availability of trying to find midwifery care in any form has waxed and waned, and more recently waned in some ways in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So when it comes to that particular practice, do you feel as though that because they close, most likely they close due to something, each one has its own explanation why it closed, as far as its popularity goes, or as far as lack of as far as funding or maybe support. But you're saying today it's just as important now as it was back then.
It is.
Yes.
Okay. So Joelle, what do you come in as far as your practice and your performance being involved with this organization? What do you hope to accomplish here in the city of Worcester?
So that's a really good question. Overarching, having a freestanding birth center is what the big objective is. And within that birth center, being able to offer full spectrum midwifery services. So that means it's not limited to just thinking about someone having a baby in their prenatal and postpartum care, but also thinking about services for sexual reproductive health, services for perimenopausal or hormonal health. Having a facility in Worcester that's community-based, where it's accessible for all people, not just someone who can afford a service like a home birth or a community birth out of pocket, is what I would say our big overarching goal is. Me as an individual working within the organization for that goal, but also one of my passions with the education would be to have childbirth education that's more easily accessible in Worcester for people to start to think about the process of childbirth before going to the birth center to have their baby or to the hospital.
Okay. Once again, joining us is Rachel Lexington. She's the founder and creator, and also Joelle Wood. She is the birth center developer. And we're talking about the Worcester Community Midwifery here in the city of Worcester. And I applaud both of you for putting forth this effort in reference to trying to create a center here, I presume, eventually. So the question to you now is, when you have this particular practice, okay, when does it come into play? When the traditional way is, okay, someone's pregnant, okay, and they go visit their doctor. And as they're visiting their doctor and you do the different checkups in a timely fashion over the course of the development of the birth and prior to the birth, of course, when does someone decide, you know something, I need assistance and I want a midwife to assist me in this particular process as my child is developing inside me?
Well, when we're offering midwifery care, we are able to offer the entire course of care. So it is within our scope to work with somebody from the moment they're pregnant or before, and they can have all their prenatal appointments with us, which are done on the similar schedule, but we have longer appointments. We offer all the same opportunities for testing, ultrasounds, but on a more personalized relationship-based cycle. Then they can have their birth with us and they can have their postpartum care with us. So while we're always monitoring for any need to consult or refer up to our physician colleagues, most clients don't need that. It's there if they need it, but it's not necessary. If somebody has started a different course of care and they realize partway through, this isn't the best fit for me, I'd prefer to work with midwifery care, they can always transfer into our care.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion, okay, about midwifery. Really appreciate that. Once again, Rachel Lexington is joining us, and she's the founder and creator, and also Joelle Ward, she's the birth center developer. We're talking about the Worcester Community Midwifery right here in the city of Worcester, and you listen to Unity in the Community with Ernie Floyd on Unity 979, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hey, this is Ricky Duran, and you're listening to Unity Radio on 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
How's business?
Good. Are you up to speed with the new beneficial ownership reporting requirements?
Sort of. What's it about?
It's a new initiative to help fight crimes like money laundering, fraud, and drug trafficking. A lot of small businesses like ours just have to report some basic info to the federal government about the real people behind them.
Reporting your company's beneficial ownership information is quick, secure, and free, and it helps protect U.S. national security. Learn more at finsen.gov/BOI.
Hi, I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show on Unity Radio 97.9. Join me and my guests as we discuss topics on embracing our diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Looking for a meaningful way to engage with members of your community and make a difference? Volunteer with the Massachusetts Senior Medicare Patrol Program and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community, educating their peers about how to prevent, detect, and report healthcare errors, fraud, and abuse. Visit our volunteer open house at masmp.org. Join our team and help us fight fraud. Together, we can make a difference. This project is supported by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Hey, what's up, Worcester? This is Jacqueline Carr, and I'm inviting you to be inspired with me every Sunday starting at 6 a.m. with the Jacqueline Carr Show on Unity Radio. I'll get you going with a motivating word, special guest, the absolute best music, and a few other surprises. But you gotta tune in on Sundays at Unity Radio to find out. It's Jacqueline Carr, and the Jacqueline Carr Show is happening Sundays from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. right here on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection, and also streaming on WUTY.org.
Let's talk, Worcester.
Unity 97.9.
And once again, this is Unity in the Community, and the Unity in Community Show embraces the city versus diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. And we're joined with Rachel Blessington. She's joining us, and she's the founder, creator, also Joel Ward, who's a birth-centered developer. And this is the Worcester Community Midwifery organization or center that's taking place that you have, or you're developing in a sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm really intrigued by this because you probably say, well, why? Because if people have these options in reference to going to the midwifery, or just traditionally people come in, they're pregnant, the doctor says, okay, all right, let's begin the stages, come back, as you mentioned, Joelle, come back in 6 months or so and we'll start the process. And sometimes some people aren't introduced to this. And you're saying that they should be introduced at the beginning as an option, or wait till they get to a certain stage of their development, then it's introduced. No.
Ideally, people are aware that midwifery is an option the same way, like they know that they have to see an OB even for regular like women's health issues. Midwives can do that as well. So what we're talking about is also a culture shift that needs to happen, because so many people just assume that this is the only thing that's available to me because they don't hear about other things. So part of what our goal is with Worcester Community Midwifery as well is just making midwifery available for people in Worcester to know that this is something else that they can do, not just you go to the doctor and you assume that someone's going to tell you that midwives are available, because that's not typically what happens. Most pregnancies that are considered low risk, which is, I believe, over like 85%, I believe the number's around 85% of people that are considered low risk are eligible for midwifery care. But if you go to the doctor because you find out you're pregnant, it's not standard or typical that they're going to say, hey, you have no, risk factors or complications. Would you like to see a midwife? That's not what the cultural norm is in our area. But with having the birth center open, hopefully that is something that shifts as well.
Okay, so the birth center doesn't exist, but together your efforts is to create this birth center. What is an ideal birth center, and what location would you like to have it hosted? If you had this wish list, and you can have this wish list granted by this magic genie to say, okay, birth center, where would you like it to be placed, in the location, and what will it be involved in developing the center?
Well, certainly within the city of Worcester
Yes.
has been our goal and our standard. We just had this discussion earlier today. We could create a facility outside the city, and maybe that would be more affordable real estate wise, but it wouldn't be in alignment with our mission to really serve the residents, our neighbors here in the city first, both for care and for education. So within the city of Worcester has been a requirement for us looking centrally located, ideally on or close a bus line. And what we imagine is a facility that's very welcoming, something between home-like and clinic-like, so it doesn't feel medical, because you're not coming there because you're sick. You're coming there to connect and be cared for and to receive education. So we envision a place that's very welcoming to individuals and families, bring their kids along, and have exam rooms, have birth center area that's very private and separate with birth pools, a garden out back to walk through, and then other complementary offices.
So we also currently have a neonatal nurse practitioner that we work with. Michelle is amazing. And we have hormonal health, we have pelvic floor, other specialists in their field that we offer wraparound services. So hopefully that those services will also be offered within the birth center. So again, it's thinking beyond birth in itself. We're wanting to be able to build a facility that is whole person well care, where people like that home feel. Like our office now on James Street is great. People always come in and they're like, I just want to like take my shoes off and relax and hang out. And we enjoy feeding people. That's something that's important to us too. You know, food is love. We want to have a place that has a great kitchen in it and a place where children are also welcome, because that can be a huge barrier for people as well to receive care, be having to go to appointments and maybe they don't have childcare. So a place where families are welcome is really important to us.
So the environment plays a role in this whole thing.
100%.
And because the environment plays a role is because of the fact that people don't realize that when you're having a child, the child's developing with someone, the stress it puts on someone's body. And then it triggers other different things in the mind, as far as behavior goes, as far as what you eat, and as far as your temperament goes, and the list goes on. So you need something where what you guys are looking to develop is somewhere where it's calm, tempered, nature, and comfortable, so that then you ease that stress with the individuals that are going through that birth development.
In place that will also address all those other things too. Because I mean, things like mental health wellness is something that many people struggle with in different reasons in different ways, but a place where someone could go and they're there for pregnancy care. But if they, with having our discussions that deal with the whole person, and let's say someone discloses, for example, that they're having some mental health struggles, then we could also support them as best as possible, or to refer to another organization that aligns with our care. So that way we're also helping that person with other aspects of their life beyond their changing body with a pregnancy.
The birthing center area of the midwifery center is only one piece of it, but it is so important that those rooms that we imagine where people would come to deliver their babies or their family feel safe and comfortable, because we know that the course of labor is very impacted by how somebody is feeling and whether they're disrupted. So to walk into a hospital environment, which is designed for people who are sick and having an emergency, and it's loud and there's the machine that goes ping and the bright lights, their nervous system comes out of that labor course and goes, whoa, am I safe? Their hormonal cascade can be disrupted. So sometimes in the hospital, labors have to be augmented because it's not going as smoothly as if they could feel relaxed and safe. Where if you're in a birth center setting, it feels much more like home. You recognize the people there because you've been meeting with them throughout your pregnancy, and you're having people with you from your team that you care about, maybe your partner or family member or doula. And even though it looks like a homey environment, we have all the same equipment and emergency tools tucked away that we would have in a hospital delivery room. So sometimes people are surprised to hear that because they think they're giving up some of the technology and medications, but really we have all of that just nicely tucked away in the cupboard so that you're not staring at it throughout that process.
So who's the expert here as far as creating this birth center and knowing all this technology and what it should be incorporated in this particular birth center?
Well, we have to go by American Association of Birth Center. There's a certification body called the CABC that has a binder about this thick, if you still print it, and I still print it because I'm old, of all the things that we have to check off that we have for the physical environment, technologically, for staffing. And then the Department of Health also has licensure for birth centers. So that has an entire set of regulations that we have to synchronize and make sure that everything in the building, from our doorways to our lighting, to our medications, to our fire plans, meet those safety standards.
Yep. And when it comes to the space itself? What's an ideal space as far as square footage? 1,000, 2,000, 2,500, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000?
I'd like a building around 10,000 because we need more than just the bare minimum of exam rooms and birthing rooms and the clean and dirty utility room to keep our laundry in. We know that we need space for those other services to help those families be successful and feel supported. We need dedicated educational space, both to be able to do classes for the clients we're working with and to train student nurses and midwives and lactation consultants. A very difficult part of growing the clinical team is having places to train clinically. There's not enough. So we feel very strongly about being a space for that.
Yeah, I find this fascinating because the average person, at least I presume, is like, okay, someone's pregnant, your partner's pregnant, and the traditional thing is, okay, you hopefully you have your health insurance in place, you pick your doctor or your physician, you go there, you get your checkup, and they do the ultrasound, and oh, congratulations, and the whole thing. Do you want to know the sex? Do you not want to know the sex? You want to wait a while, and so forth and so on. And then, they draw blood and they do your background and make sure everything's okay. There's different stages in this whole development and this 9-month plan. But I find it that I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the average person just says, okay, my partner's pregnant. We go see the doctor. The doctor comes in, pats me on the back, says, okay, congratulations to me, and then says, congratulations to her. And then they say, okay, come back in 6 months or so, and then we'll check on you and some other different things. So meanwhile, what do you do in that 6-month gap until you see that physician again? But you're saying with yourself, this birth center, it gets really technical in the fact that you cover a lot of different bases from step 1 up into the 9th month.
Right. And even that scenario that you're saying, like the couple that finds out that they're pregnant, they get the positive test, they have some blood work, they confirm the pregnancy, and then the provider says, okay, I'll see you at the end of your first trimester. We know that a lot of things can happen between that positive test and then when they return to the doctor. So even things like nausea, morning sickness, a lot of these symptoms in pregnancy that people essentially kind of suffer through. And we have the ability to see people at any time. So if somebody in that scenario, that couple, maybe the birthing person's having like terrible nausea and they're not able to keep food down and they're vomiting and they're losing weight. And there's so many different things that can impact a person at that point. So if that person calls us and we say, come into the office, let's draw some blood work. Let's look a little bit deeper into what's happening with your body so we can help address the issues that you have, treat the symptoms, but also look at things at a deeper level to how can we help to support wellness even before you go back for that initial appointment.
Okay. So will this birth center be 24 hours or will it be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., we'll say, or 6 p.m.? Or will they have the benefit of around the clock support?
Sure. So in a birth center model, there's support for laboring people around the clock. So that means perhaps there's not someone at the building on a quiet day, but if there's a midwife on call, either that midwife is on site or very close by, depending on that birth center's policies. And they're typically running appointments throughout the day. We usually do some evening appointments too to help accommodate people who they themselves or their partners can't get time off of work. So they want to be able to be present. So business hours plus for most appointments, and the needed care for on-call and for birthing is around the clock.
I think this whole process is admirable. Rachel Blessing, Tin is joining us. She's a leader and founder, and also Joelle Ward, birth center developer, Worcester Community Midwifery. There you go. And we're having this discussion about if someone's pregnant and all the different proper care that's needed to support that particular individual throughout that whole, you mentioned, what is it, trimester?
3 trimesters.
3 trimesters.
Yeah. In our society, in our culture, we believe that 40 weeks is kind of like when pregnancy should end, but in reality, it can be longer than that. So we don't like to necessarily put these like hard figures on it with our practice. But yeah, let's say a person's, got as we say, the 9 months, so to speak. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to get educated on this, and hopefully our artists is educated on this as well. We're going to come back. We're going to continue the discussion in reference to the development of a new person coming into the world, and particularly here in the city of Worcester. Once again, this is Unity in the Community. I'm Ernie Floyd at Unity 979, Worcester's Community Connection.
Unity
Worcester, we've got you.
Support for Unity Radio 97.9 FM is provided by United Way of Central Mass, aiming to improve the community and break the cycle of poverty, and the Woosocks Foundation, seeking to make dreams come true for families in areas of education, social justice, recreation, and conquering cancer. Unity Radio, Worcester's community connection.
Tune into The Sustaining Life with Susan T. Ulett, and together we will find our way to a healthier, healing lifestyle by listening to empowering stories of overcoming our struggles. Join me, Susan T. Ulett, on The Sustaining Life every Wednesday from 5 to 6 on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's community connection. See you soon.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines, such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hi, I'm Siobhan Myers, your host on Talking Wellness, presented by the Kiva Centers on Unity Radio 97.9 FM. As a licensed mental health professional and leader in the field, I believe every story matters and healing starts with being heard. Whether you're navigating life's challenges or lifting others through theirs, I'm here to explore the paths of mental health, recovery, and wholeness. Tune into Talking Wellness on Unity Radio 97.9 FM every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for honest conversation and inspiration. This program is sponsored by the Kiva Centers, a statewide leader in peer-led support and recovery services. From Worcester to Western Mass, Kiva is lighting the way forward. Talking Wellness, every voice, every journey. Speak up, be heard, and of course, be well.
Hi, this is Raymond Lopolito, the general manager of the Worcester Smiles Football Club, and you're listening to Unity Radio, Worcester's community connection.
And once again, this is Unity in the Community, and we're talking about the development of a young person. When it's called Midwifery, when it comes to the support of a young person that's being developed. And so we have Rachel Blessington, and she's the creator and founder, as well as Joelle Ward. She's the birth center developer, and I find this fascinating having this conversation with you because, as I said before, the average guy, I'm a guy, we take it for granted that, okay, my partner's pregnant. All right, go to the doctor. And sometimes the partner has support, and sometimes the partner doesn't have support, and they're on their own, and they have to go there, and they're being guided with the hope of the confidence and the trust of a physician who's sharing the information what they should do, and they're by themselves. Okay, and so they go there, they do the testing and so forth. They have to come back 12 weeks, and then go into the next stage. But with the midwifery, it's a little different. The attention to detail, the care, the compassion, all starts in the beginning. It doesn't start down weeks later, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, yes. I mean, right, we know that right now what we have in the US, including in Massachusetts, is an overburdened system, right? Yes. So our colleagues who are working in the hospital system or the typical system are working really hard to serve a whole lot of people, thousands of people every year. And so they are never enough appointments, and the appointments have to be very short so they can see a lot of people. In the midwifery model of care, we prioritize spending more time with people and seeing them as soon as they need to be seen. So where if your partner were to call the OB's office and say, I peed on a stick and it's positive, I want to come in, they're going to go, we'll book you for a nurse visit in X number of weeks, and then we'll book you for an ultrasound, and then probably it might be a couple months before they actually see a provider unless something catastrophic happens. But we know that people need care right from the beginning, to talk about everything from their nutrition, their energy, check for anemia, and to provide education. So we will see people sooner, and we are able to spend longer with them during our appointments so that we can help them get off to a strong start and not have them feel like I can't even get an appointment to be seen.
Yeah, I would say, I presume that person must feel like they're just a number. It's like a factory, almost in a sense, an approach. But I know that the midwifery is trying to start it, or do you have it? And if you do have it, you have a location presently right now, but you want another ideal location. That's where we are right now as far as your midwifery practice?
The location that we have now is set up for prenatal and postpartum care and for some of those other services like we mentioned, but it's not set up where we would actually deliver or have the person have their baby at where our office is.
Mhm.
So with the birth center, we'll be able to do all of that care that we would either do in office or in someone's home at the birth center.
So if someone's interested in your service, how can they contact you right now?
Well, right now they can send us an email or go through our website or call our phone number, which is 508-578-2010, or office at worcestermidwifery.com. So right now we have a small clinical practice where we'll see people for office appointments for prenatal care, postpartum care, most of the things that they think they need to go to the OBGYN for, they can come do with the midwives. We do labs and ultrasounds in our office. We are working with a lot of insurances, but like Joelle said, we don't have a facility that's appropriate for attending birth right now. So we have a small clientele who are planning home birth, which is what we've been doing all these years. But we're looking forward to having the birth center facility where they can come to us in this special space and have their baby there.
That's pretty interesting. So you do the prenatal preparation and the care right now, it's just saying at your place. Is it 70 James Street?
It is.
70 James Street. And so you do the preliminary practices, but then as far as delivering the package, if you will, you actually go to the homes.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's that experience like, actually going to someone's home, and when you get to that stage, when someone says, okay, they throw the flag up, I'm ready, and you guys come in with your, how's it all go about when you guys arrive
It's
there?
really
What happens
exciting.
there?
So we definitely keep in close contact when someone's getting close to what we think when their baby will arrive. And when they call us, they say, okay, it's happening. We bring all of our equipment with us. So we have these like great backpacks that we show up with. We have all of the same things that we will have at the birth center or that are in the hospital. So we bring medications, we bring IV fluid, we bring our stethoscopes, we bring everything that we need to make sure that the birthing person and the baby are have a safe experience. But we also bring those intangible things like patience and compassion with us still too, because we don't know when babies come, right? So we could be at someone's house for 5 hours, we could be there for 24 plus hours. I think that's part of the beautiful thing about the home birth is that people are able to labor and go through that experience in the comfort of their own home while they still have the safety and the assessment that we provide.
And it's a one-to-one model. Like when we're with a birthing family at home, they are our only concern. Where if I was working in a hospital setting, I might need to be managing multiple rooms of people having babies. So we don't like to talk about it, but in the hospital, some decisions are made based on what's happening in other rooms, not just what's best for you and your baby, because unfortunately they're serving a lot of people at once. And they use tools like the medication Pitocin to help speed up a labor and move things along because they're serving a lot of people. At home, we never use that medication to make things go faster. We only use that medication postpartum to help prevent bleeding because we are not trying to move through more quickly. We're focused on what's best for that one family.
Midwifery community, Worcester Community Midwifery, is operated by Rachel Blessington. She's the founder and creator, as well as Joelle Ward. She's the birth center developer. So mom's playing a role in reference to the development process for that young child that's about to come into the world. But if the mom has other people involved too as well, if she has another child or she has a partner with her, I presume everyone's all hands on deck. And what do you expect the other partners to do in this process when you guys come on board and you're part of the team to make sure that the birth goes successful?
So we expect the partners also to come even from the beginning to the prenatal appointments as much as it was possible, because it's important for us to be able to build that relationship with the whole family. But in regards to the actual, birth itself, the partners being there and really like playing the role of a doula, if you think of it in a sense, where we want to engage partners to be supportive, to practice like the hands-on comfort measures, but also they function as a communicator with us as well. So if that person needs someone to advocate for them and to speak on their behalf, then the partner plays that role. So I like to think of them as also like the MVP of the labor. Obviously, the birthing person doing so much work, bringing a human into the world is important, but the partner also plays a really big role, and we like to encourage them to step into that role.
Okay. So we expect hopefully this whole process to be a perfect process. Okay. But I know, and maybe you know too as well, that's not the case in some instances. Okay. Because of the relationship that person may have with their partner, they may be at angst, if you will. And then you have the child there too as well. And some children may have some challenges as well. And then at the same time, you may have a situation whereas when you have medicine, culture always plays a role somehow, some way, but someone's ethnicity and someone's culture is involved in this as well. How do you address those particular instances when one of two, if not all, play a role in the development of this person?
I think all those things always play a role because each family constellation is going to be unique. And each individual who's pregnant and birthing is unique. And what's beautiful about our model is we get to know that pregnant person and their constellation of family or support people over many appointments, over many months. So by the time that it's their labor, we're familiar with them and we've been able to provide education so they know what to expect. They've taken great classes with Joelle, so they feel very empowered with their toolbox full of coping strategies. And they've been able to share with us what their preferences are, what's important to them, what cultural practices they want us to respect and participate in or step away from, whatever is important to them. So that we're not trying to learn all that in 10 minutes when they arrive, like when we have to work in the hospital model and maybe we've never met before. And so we're speed dating at the beginning of a labor. We get to enter that beautiful birthing day with all of that rapport built together so that we can really support them as individuals.
Yeah. But before you arrive there, I believe the settings are already set prior to getting there. You just don't set the setting right while you arrive there. I'm pretty sure that maybe weeks, maybe months, or whatever time available, you hope that the setting looks like this,
so
and not like that.
Yeah. One of our standards of practice is to go to someone's home at about 36 weeks. And that's when we bring the birth pool and we start to talk with them about what that birthday is going to look like. So we do preparation up to that early in the before we get to the point of like actually showing up to do that.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the other kids are not using it as a pool too as well. I'm just kidding.
It happens.
Oh,
It happens.
We involve
No,
the
it's okay.
siblings as well.
Okay, all right.
And that's also up to what the family wants. Some people, they want the siblings present. And you'd be surprised how many siblings are just hanging out, watching TV or sleeping right through it.
Right through the whole thing.
Yeah,
okay?
truly.
So what's the future for this? And what's the ideal goal with the midwifery that you want to practice here in the city of Worcester?
Well, I see our practice growing over the coming years with how many people that we serve because of changes and improvements in hopefully insurance coverage and billing. So more people will be able to use their insurance plans to pay for the care rather than have to pay out of pocket. So in the coming years, we can see more people in the office, and we're also developing a mobile office so we can see more people in the Worcester area for prenatals, postpartums, all these appointments. And then as we're able to open the doors of the facility, that means it's a place where people can go to give birth. So we'll be able to serve more in the hundreds of births a year rather than several a month, and increase that volume and grow our team.
Yeah. When did you start and how many births have you delivered since then?
Oh my gosh.
That's a loaded question, though.
I started going to births in 2012 when I was beginning training as a midwife. I also trained as a doula, which is a word you heard Joelle mention. A doula is not a provider, not a medical provider, but think of them like a birth coach support person who's there to provide education, advocate, give that non-medical support is very helpful. So one of my first clients was somebody who had been a student of mine when I was a Worcester Public Schools teacher.
No way.
It was wonderful. Yeah, no, so I got to be there for her delivery. And that was really special. Gosh. I've attended births in the hospital, in birth center, and at home over the past 12 years in the several hundreds. I've probably surpassed 400 at this point.
In that case, you could be walking down the street here in the city of Worcester, and all of a sudden, oh, I gave birth to that person. I gave birth to that person. I gave birth to that
Only
person.
in my head,
Okay.
because I have to preserve their privacy.
Yeah,
But
of
yes,
course.
it is actually, it's really fun. Like at our church community, when I look around and I see students who might attend our like camp, and I think, wow, I was there for that one, and I was there for that one. It's so
can't help but
cool.
say that.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
Worcester Community Midwifery, and it took me a while to get there, and I knew it's going to get there eventually, and that's what we're talking about right here. We have Rachel Blessington. She's joined us. She's the creator and founder, as well as Joelle Ward, and she is the birth center developer. And I'm Ernie Floyd. I'm your host on Unity and Community. We're going to come back discuss more about birth in the city of Worcester, right here on Unity and the Community, on Unity 979, Worcester's Community Connection.
Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. What's up, Worcester? I'm Angela Gray, and you're listening to Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection. When I dial my baby's number, I get a click every time. Are you ready?
Hi, I'm Gary. And I'm Steve. And we're the hosts of Cannabis 101 on Unity Radio 97.9 FM.
Join us and our guests on Thursdays at 3 p.m. as we discuss the cannabis industry in Central Mass with energy, excitement, and passion.
We both take pride in providing you important information about the rapid growing cannabis industry. Support for Cannabis 101 is provided by Cannabis of Worcester on Unity Radio 97.9 FM, Worcester's Community Connection.
Hi, I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show on Unity Radio 97.9. Join me and my guests as we discuss topics on embracing our diverse cultural communities, the music, the arts, and healthy lifestyles. I'm Ernie Floyd, host of the Unity in the Community Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Unity Radio 97.9, Worcester's Community Connection.
Everyone has a community, a neighborhood, school, kids' teams, where you worship, work out, or any other place or group where you choose to belong. Communities can provide support when you need it, and even when you don't know you do. Like when it comes to preventing underage drinking and other substance use, community members can be your eyes and ears when you're not with your kids and alert you to signs of potential problems. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
Hello, I'm Pastor Sharon Henderson of Covenant St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, 24 Hamilton Street, Worcester, Mass. We welcome you to worship with us every Sunday at 10 a.m. Let's worship together and love one another. I'm Sharon Henderson, pastor of Covenant St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, 24 Hamilton Street. We welcome you to worship with us at 10 a.m. every Sunday. Let's do it together and let's make peace.
This is Unity Radio 97.9 Worcester.
And once again, welcome back to Unity in the Community. And we'll talk about midwifery right here with Joelle Ward and also with Rachel Blessington. And I'm getting this whole school and this understanding about birth, and it's really technical in some sense, right? But at the same time, it's the benefit of the person that's going through the process, and that's where you guys come in. So when we talk about midwifery here in the city of Worcester, Worcester Community, the birth center, what is the team made up of? Start from the top to the bottom.
All right. So like when the birth center's open, what will the team look like?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the midwives are the main providers of care. So that's the person who is the main person who's in charge of the care plan, working alongside with the clients to meet their goals, to monitor their pregnancy. That's the person ordering labs and ultrasounds, always assessing for things that we're concerned about, doing teaching, diagnosing, and treating. And then we have assistants. So that usually means there are nurses working at the birth center too, who assist in the appointments and the birth. There can also be birth assistants, people who are trained to support the midwives who are not nurses, and that's really great too. And then we can have people who are on the level of medical assistants or other assistants. We can have people who are like doulas, who are support people. And then we have a very important admin staff who are our front desk, our welcome on the phone, educators, and then lactation. So other nurse practitioners or other specialists who are experts in the infant care, in the feeding. Who am I missing?
So you can see this as
students.
Yeah,
the practices of your personnel could amount to about how many people would you say?
Well, to run a birth center of the size that we imagine, you probably need at least 4 full-time midwives.
Okay.
And that often grows into a team of some people who are part-time. Maybe they work multiple roles. And then you're going to need at least half a dozen nurses or similar assistant people, multiple administrative people, educators. It's going to be a big team.
Yeah. So you guys been doing this for a while. Okay. You said 2012, right? You've been doing it,
That's when
Rachel?
I started. Right.
So, and Joelle, you joined the team, what year?
2022,
23, beginning of 23.
Somewhere. I gauge everything by which child.
2023.
I had. So
Yeah.
somewhere between 2022 and 2023. I
Okay.
think.
So along the path, right, you've been sharing your ideas with people and saying that we're looking to put this center together.
Mhm.
And you go, what do you think? Voila. And the reaction has been, A, you're crazy, or either B, hey, I want to be a part of that experience and I want to join the team, or C, I don't want no part of it.
Yeah, we do kind of get like those are accurate, I think, to a certain
all
extent.
three, huh?
Well, yeah, I think that
What's more than versus the other, would you say?
I think a lot of people are really fascinated
Okay.
and want to join the team.
People who want to work with us, people who want to be our clients, who want to receive that care.
Okay.
And then I think a lot of curiosity, because our paradigm isn't to know what a midwife or a birth center is. There's about 17-ish other countries in the world who have better outcomes for parents and babies and spend less money than we do. And in all of those places, midwifery and birth centers are abundant and they're the initial entry point to care. So, but here it's not an everyday word. We're working on it. We spend a lot of time connecting with our community to educate people that this is a choice. But I think people still don't know that midwifery is a care. They don't a care option. They don't know our scope, and they don't know that the birth center could be a great, wonderful, safe, for many people, safer choice than the hospital. So there's a lot of education to be had. So it's a lot of curiosity, I think, when people hear it.
So the individuals do have this option from the hospital, of course, right? But it depends upon how the hospital is pushing the initiative in reference to the midwifery. So with that being said, are the hospitals working with you in some sense, or the hospitals may not be working with you, depending upon who you may know there?
Yeah, overall, we have good relationships with our hospital colleagues, and that's so important because in the healthcare ecosystem, we have to be able to refer to each other, connect people with what they need, be able to have smooth transitions when we have either emergency transfers or not emergency transfers. Most people who transfer out of midwifery care to the hospital aren't having an emergency. They might just need or desire some hospital tools, like a person who's in labor for the 2nd day in a row, and gosh, they just want an epidural and a nap and to push their baby out. So it's not an emergency. So we really value and cultivate our relationships with our hospital colleagues, but it's also really important to us to have an independent center, because the centers that are owned by hospitals are often closed due to the financial pressures of the hospital. They can make more money when patients admit to the hospital, have more procedures done. So for that reason, we want to collaborate, but we want to stay our own separate entity.
Yeah. You mentioned the fact that you started in 2012, and Joelle, you came in about 2022-ish. So you're gauging it on when you had your last child.
and COVID, right? All things in the 2020s. But yeah, we'll call it 2023.
Yeah. When did this develop with you? Because I've known you for a long time.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So funny enough,
yeah,
when I remember doing in the guidance office of thinking about what I wanted to be when I grow up. And my 2 options were I wanted to go to this school in Poughkeepsie, New York for radio, TV broadcasting was one. And the second one was to be a nurse midwife. So I
That's crazy. I used to work in Poughkeepsie.
Wow.
Yeah, right. What a small world. So
Small
I
world.
ended up going the path of nurse, and I worked in cardiology for over a decade. And I think I was just slowly building towards this, then doing lactation coaching in the community for a decade, and then having really interesting experiences and good experiences with my own children. When I had my last son, I was like, all right, we're going to transfer to labor and delivery because this is what you really want to do. And then we'll see what happens there. And once I did that, I feel like things just really changed and blew up in a way that I wasn't imagining. And a mutual friend one day was like, hey, I want you to go to lunch with this person, Rachel. You know, she's really got awesome stuff going on. You want to talk to her, you want to meet her. And we went to lunch. It was great. And Rachel was like, hey, you want to come to a birth that, you know, let's just see how you feel about it. And that was a very memorable birth. And from then I was like, all right, this is it. I'm sold.
Birth bug bit you.
Yeah, it bit me.
Yeah.
And I've been stuck here ever since.
Yeah.
In a good way.
I'd be remiss not to mention the fact I'm a way back story type of guy, right? And I had Joelle, had Junior's sister, with Youth Unity performing interviews. We would go around the community, and we went everywhere performing interviews. And then it's been a while since I've seen you, except at the YMCA. I saw you in the back. They've had their different community events and activities, and I would run into you and see you. And you have the desk in front of you, your table with all your medical information about the clinic that you worked at or the hospital that you worked at. And now you're here on Fast Forward here on the show with me. And I just had a recent Youth Unity alumni person too. And I'm like, wow, time goes by. In reference to, I had these guys when they're like 12, 13, 14, 15. They're adults now. They have children in the profession, the professional. And you don't know what's going on in my mind right now by watching you and seeing you.
Yeah.
And the love I have for you and the kids that I've seen that have grown up and they found themselves in reference to the direction where they want to go. So
It
Rachel,
feels
thank
really
you for
good.
taking a rent from me.
Oh my goodness. Taking her in. I am blessed. Like we talk about on our team, we joke around that you have to be a unicorns only, because we wear so many hats on a small team.
I know that.
And Joelle showed right up with her 17 hats on her head and jumped right into this birth. And it can be really challenging for someone who has done birth at the hospital in a hospital fashion to shift gears and do birth in the community fashion, so outside the hospital. And Joelle was able to just smoothly slide right in and do fantastic work. So we're really lucky
It's
to
been a
work
lot of
together.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, don't be a stranger. You guys come back. We want to know all the developments and all the different stages. And we want to hear first thing you open up your new facility, your community birth center right here in the city of Worcester. Okay.
Absolutely.
We'd love to come back.
Thank you very much. Rachel Blessington was joining us. She's the creator and founder. And also Joelle Ward. Joelle Ward, I'm going to give you your title. You're the birth center developer. And also at the Worcester Community Midwifery Center right here in the city of Worcester. So once again, how can they find you? And how can they go to the midwifery?
WorcesterMidwifery.com, at Worcester Midwifery on Instagram. We're on Facebook too. And you can email us, office@WorcesterMidwifery.com.
Okay. Before we go, again, how many births, Joelle, your experience?
Oh, goodness. With
hundreds.
You're in the hundreds?
I mean, with also counting my work at UMass in the weekends, I'm definitely into the hundreds.
Congratulations. Good thing. Okay. Once again, this is Ernie Floyd. And what I had was Rachel Blessington as well as Joelle Ward. You've been listening to Unity in the Community on Unity 979, Worcester's Community Connection.